So, what do you guys want to talk about?
I tell you what, I want to talk about microtransactions. But before I get to actually talking about microtransactions, let's talk about transactions as a whole from the evolution of gaming. So, we're going to start with what we all know that some of us older heads got to experience, and that is just paying for a game and you got a full game. That was the start, right? You go in, you go to a store, you bought a game, you paid for it, and you had a full experience. There you go, right? Right? Well, actually, I can go actually early into that because, as y'all know, I'm an old arcade head, and gaming in the arcade, even though consoles made it kind of nice, gaming in the arcade was a little bit different. You had to pop a lot of quarters to actually complete and beat a game, or you had to get good to learn how to beat a game at 25 cents, 50 cent, a dollar. The prices grew as, inflation grew. But yeah, arcade games was the first moneymaker, if you really think about it. Actually, consoles, even though they were making money, I don't think they was making as much money as arcades were because you had a big slew of people that would come in and day out, just pop quarters in the game and recommend it to their friends, and their friends would they'd come back to the arcades and play it, so forth and so on. But I digress. What's really interesting is you think about MMOs. And MMOs started this whole trend of, hey, buy the game and pay a subscription service. Now, I was always that guy that took a stance when this happened. I was always this guy of one of two things. And that is, my thought process was either you give me the game for free and I pay for the subscription, or I pay for the game, but then I get to play it for free. Don't do both because you're burning my wallet. Even back during the MMO days, I was against companies trying to nickel and dime their player base. But I also understand companies and development teams have to make money off of their investment. So I understand both sides. But we're going to move on to DLC. So DLC done right is great. Good example, Fallout 3. Fallout 3, the story in the base game was all about, hey, you're going through the world, and in the midst of a lot of your interactions in the world and everything, people talk about these other areas like Atomic City and all this stuff, and you don't really get to go to these areas in the base game. But when they drop the DLC, guess what? You can now go to these areas and explore, and it really extended the world and the lore and everything. That's DLC done correctly. But then you have DLC, and I'm not talking about DLC, even though I am talking about DLC. I'm talking about dislocked content.
Who's ready for story time with Adam Cole, baby?
I bought the deluxe edition of Marvel versus Capcom only because, and I'm still that guy to this day, even with all the DLC and craziness. I am a guy that when it comes to fighting games, I want all the characters. I grew up playing fighting games and learning how to play hours and hours on end to unlock characters. So now, since it changed to, hey, you have to buy a deluxe edition. Stay with me here to get more characters. I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy the deluxe edition. Plus, I like that it has a steel book and all that. I'm down for that. Comes with a poster, all that. And then you find out day one after the game comes out that all the characters, even the DLC one, thus dislocked content, were locked on the disc and they charged you to unlock them. So if you're going with me here, this is not the first time Capcom had did a practice. Now, what's weird is I'm kind of going to defend Capcom for a second. I know everybody and everyone out there right now, as we move on to modern gaming with microtransactions and everything, I'm going to defend Capcom on one factor. The fact that they made everything that is microtransactiony also able to be gotten in the game. And I know everybody's saying like, Bree, that defeats the purpose. Hold on, let me finish. Let me get there. I'm gonna get there because I understand y'all viewpoint. I like it when a developer, a game that I've also been playing a lot, Helldivers, where you can do everything in the game, but since you can do everything in the game and everything, if the game is done well, you appreciate the developers to willing to pay for the microtransaction. There's a difference versus trying to nickel and dime you. Now, for all of you that's like, Bree, but that defeats the purpose. It's a single player experience game. I'm with you. Trust me, I've been playing games for a while. Usually, when it comes to microtransactions that started from mobile gaming and then started to span more and more into our multiplayer games, it was okay to have microtransaction in multiplayer games. It's like, name a multiplayer game where there's not a microtransaction. I mean, microtransactions, battle pass is there. But usually you're safe if you're playing a single player experience game. So, why I don't feel everybody's in the right uproar about Dragon's Dogma 2. However, I understand where a lot of you coming from because this could span something that could ruin the single player experience. Let's look at a game that I still haven't played because I heard how bad it was and it kind of stirred me away from it. As y'all know, I'm a big comics fan in general. And I wanted to play the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, but I never played it because everybody says the game is bad and it's short due to all the microtransactions. So it turned me away from the game. But a lot of people make some points. Sometimes when a developer is making a game and they're forced to put microtransactions in the game, sometimes it degrades unique gameplay opportunities or it degrades the original idea of how they wanted to design the game in the first place. So, even though Dragon Dogma 2, and I'm already hearing it might get Game of the Year because people saying it's that good of a game. I still haven't got my copy yet. I was going to grab a copy for science to see if I could do some tweaks to get it to run at 60 frames per second, but I haven't done that yet. Stay tuned when I do get a copy. I'm going to still play around with that. But the fact that we have a single player game with microtransactions, and even though none of the microtransactions actually hurt the gameplay in this game, that doesn't stop other studios, I'm looking at EA and Ubisoft, to take this idea and run with it and actually hurt gameplay. I've seen in some multiplayer games where they would use microtransactions as a mechanic to be like, hey, you want to get this or you want to be able to do this, you need to pay this much money in order to do this. And that really hurts re- really good gameplay. And I understand what a lot of you out there are worried about. Will this be the start of games, doesn't matter how unique or how good they are, being downgraded or hindered by the fact that they're going to start throwing microtransactions in single player games? So I don't know if y'all heard that there's a quote from CD Red, and they said that they don't see the need for microtransaction in single player experience. They understand the multiplayer, but in single player experience, it's not needed. And I agree, it's not needed in single player experience. It's already bad enough. We're at a point in time that, pointing this out with Capcom. Capcom, Dragon's Dogma 2 is your first $70 game. $70 game. And you also threw microtransactions. It's like, bro, the game is already expensive for a lot of people. And you're going to throw microtransactions in it? That's not cool. It's going back to the MMO days. So what? You want me to buy the game and also do a constant subscription? No. No. Stop it. Do one of the two things. Leave my single player experience alone. If you're going to charge me $70, charge me $70, no microtransactions. Or I am in favor of what I said earlier. Give me the game for free and I'll deal with the microtransactions. Some of y'all might agree with me on that. Some of y'all might not, but I understand. We need to get to a point where, okay, I am paying for a whole game experience without being nickel and dimed. As I said earlier, I'm a fighting game fan. A lot of you that have been following this channel know I'm a fighting game fan. Know that I'm an old retro head and also play modern gaming. And it's bad when I play fighting games. Now, I talked about Capcom's FUPA. I didn't talk about Arc Systems FUPA. Arc System did some too. That really bothered me. Back in the day, they announced some DLC characters for Blaze Blue. But this is the problem. They decided that some characters cost more than others. Like, hey, this character is $2. This character is $4. This character is $6. Like, guys, no. You know, a lot of us old heads want to play with characters and try out new things. But if you can't come up with a base price, I understand you're trying to make up costs for development, but it's just one price that is set for each character. Please. And I can see this can potentially get out of hand. Think about a game like Overwatch, where most of the stuff is cosmetic. Originally, it had loot boxes. Now it has this really bad battle pass that really doesn't give you anything and doesn't give you a way to really earn the in-game credits in the game. You can earn the stuff in the game, but you don't really get that much in-game credit to recycle and get outfits and all of that stuff. Take that same model and apply it to a single player game. Fantasy setting like Dragon's Dogma. Oh, you want this sword? This sword costs $199. Oh, you want this sword? Yeah, this sword's 11 legendary. It's gonna cost $9.99. Yeah, no, we don't want that. No, please, no. It's leave our single player experience alone. Let single player experience be free of microtransactions, please. Or you're gonna find an old gaming head like myself just sticking with retro games and not touching any more modern games at all. Well, maybe some multiplayer games, but that's because I expect it in multiplayer games. Don't expect it in single player games. We need to limit how bad this monetization thing, this beast, has gotten. Like, whoa, stop. You know what? I deal with it in fighting games just because I understand development has changed. They're trying to make money for base game and development of DLC characters and patches. We haven't even talked about that. It costs them a lot of money to constantly patch the game, and a lot of times they release patches for free, and that hurts a lot of development teams and all that. So, just keeping that out there. But if we're gonna get to a point where our games is gonna just be heavily monetized, period, then look. And I implore all you developers out there that's even thinking about it, either keep microtransactions just cosmetic, or you give us a free to play game experience and a good experience, not like no half ass experience where you use the microtransactions to enhance the game. No, give us a free to play game and then you can microtransaction it with customizations, either free with microtransactions or leave it alone and give us a full gaming experience and charge us 70, 100, 120. Because let's be honest, everybody says, oh, games are $70. No, games been 120 for a while now, guys. Think about it. If you add in DLC and all that, and you want extra characters or you want extra stages to play and stuff like that, the gaming experience has been thrown at the upper echelon for a while. It's no longer double digits. It's been triple digits for a while. That's why I kind of went to PC gaming to get around the triple digits on consoles and find games for cheaper on launch day that keeps it around the double digits. Let's just be honest. I'm worried about the gaming industry as we step on from here because I understand studios got to make their money. But I'm also like some people out there that's all like, you know what? Forget AAA. Just stick with the indie studios. The indie studios, they don't do all of this crap and all that. And they've been making good games for a while, which I'm not going to lie, I agree. They have been making good games for a while. But when it comes to the AAA scene, it just seems like all they want to do is nickel and dime us. Why? Stop. And the sad thing is they know there are people out there that's just uneducated. Like, yeah, man, I want to play this game. This game is fun. Take my money. They know. That's why they do it. Because they know. Guys like me, little speck of the world, they don't care about the me's of the world. Even if I get on this platform and try to educate you and rant and complain and all that, they don't care about me unless there's thousands and then millions of me. Then they care about it. But I'm just a little speck in their ecosystem. They don't care about a guy like me. What they care about is a lot of you being uneducated about what is going on, and they're going to profit off of you. So I implore you, be careful with supporting microtransactions in single player experience. You know what? Multiplayer experience, I'll leave it alone. It's fine. Multiplayer experience is normally a continuous game. It doesn't end, so forth and so on. You need to monetize that. But a single player experience game normally has a beginning and an end. If you're going to monetize something that's going to have a beginning and an end, we have a problem. All right, guys, that's it for me. If you like this video, go ahead and hit me a like. Check out my bio. Support your boy. Until next time, guys. Peace, love, stay gaming, my friends, and be wary what companies are trying to do to us next.